Hello everyone, and thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For those of you who have subscribed, liked, and commented on my videos, I want you to know that I truly appreciate your support. And for those who find this content enjoyable, useful, entertaining, please consider supporting my channel by hitting like and subscribing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further interruption, today I bring to you one of the most beautiful pieces that I have made for my home. This lion is absolutely stunning, imposing, graceful, stoic. Its presence of raw power and strength will bring great energy to your home. As always, all of the tools and products I used are listed in the description below. We are starting by making a light box. This is by far the easiest way to create a perfect picture to work off of. The dimensions of the light box is 8 by 8 by 7 and the clear plastic sheet is 11 by 9.5. After I finished tracing the lion and I constructed the light box, I taped a large piece of paper on the wall and I chose wax paper that I had in my kitchen. I taped it to the wall and positioned the light box to the correct distance to give me the desired size, which in this case it was 16 inches by 16 inches. And the reason why I chose this size was because it was the largest size that it would fit inside my oven. Alright, so now we're going to begin working on the face, and as you can see here, I crumbled up some aluminum foil and I added it to the thickest part of the face. This saves material and it gives you even baking when it does come time for you to bake your piece. Some people prefer to pile on the clay than carve out the design. However, I find it much easier to build the design with a small amount of clay at a time until I'm satisfied with the outcome. So I chose to use oven-baked clay because it allows me the flexibility that I need to work on the project whenever I find the time, because this clay will never harden on you until you actually bake it. So you can take as long as you like making this project, and if there's something that you made that you don't like, you can just start all over and the clay will never harden on you. Okay, after you are completely satisfied with the face and all the facial features, we move on to the mane. So about 2 years ago, I created a small version of this lion, but I went about it the long way. I didn't use a light box and I worked on the design one strand of hair at a time. And this time around, I realized that tracing the hair into the clay will cut back hours of work. So after I placed down the clay base, I took the light box and positioned it over the clay foundation and adjusted the distance of the box to fit the desired size. With a needle tool, I traced each strand of hair into the clay. This allows you the flexibility to work on one strand. Make sure that you blend each strand into the existing clay. This will guarantee that your piece is secure and it will adhere during cooking and hardening process. Okay, so once you are done with your piece and completely satisfied, now it's time to brush the paint thinner. Brush out the entire piece, and with this you will achieve a smooth finish. After you are done with that, it's time to move on to the smaller details like the individual strands of hair. Take the needle tool and gently carve out the strands of hair on the snout, on the forehead, the cheek, and the eyebrows. The more details that you add, the more the design will pop when it's time to create shadowing. Alright, now that I am satisfied with the piece, it's time to flip it over as I'm doing here. I took some regular tissue paper for support, flipped it over, and removed the wax paper. Alright, so now it's time for baking. So according to the instructions of the clay I use, you are supposed to bake 15 minutes at 275 degrees for each quarter of an inch. The thickest part of my project, which was the snout, was about half an inch, which would have called for 30 minutes. However, I baked it for 45 minutes and it turned out perfect. Please allow the piece to dry for at least 12 hours and do not move the piece or it will crack on you. You are welcome to stop here and leave it as is. However, I chose to paint it so it would match my living room decor. I first went with a semi-gloss white base and I was not happy with it, so I had to wash it off and start again. and ultimately went with a flat ivory tone color, and it took about 4 coats of paint to completely cover the piece. Once I was satisfied, I let it dry, and then I mixed a bit of the ivory, the brown, and the skin tone paint, and with a small brush I painted the shaded areas. Once I was satisfied with adding shade to the piece, I took a large brush, as you see here, and I painted the elevated areas to maintain the shadow. This created more depth to the piece. I allowed the piece to dry for 12 hours. I then took the dark brown paint and added water to thin it out. I took a long brush and passed over the hair folds, as you see here, and I took a cloth with just a little bit of water and I wiped off the excess. The more shadowing that you add, the more depth that you create to the piece. Therefore, the more presence that the piece will have. This is an imposing piece, so the more aggressive posture, the better. Take your time and continue adding the shade and remove any excess, as I'm doing here with a damp towel. Don't forget to add shade to the hair and the snout to accentuate the hair strands that you created on the piece. The more shading details that you add to the piece, the more presence that it will have. I chose to paint the stand in black, as I'm doing here. I chose not to glue the piece to the stand because I felt that it would be too permanent. So instead I decided to screw it in place, and it allowed me the flexibility to modify the piece as I see fit. Ladies and gentlemen, this completes my video. I hope that my tutorial gave you the creativity and the courage to create one for your own. Please, if you found this content enjoyable, entertaining, inspirational, don't forget to hit like. And until next time, take care. Bye.